Former Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has been sentenced to death for crimes against humanity committed during last year's student-led agitation that led to the fall of our Awami League government. That's our big focus this hour. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on NewsX. Hasina, who is in exile, was tried in absentia. The Muhammad Yunus regime heightened security across Dhaka and other areas amidst sporadic violence and crude bomb attacks ahead of the Bangladesh International Crimes Tribunal's highly anticipated verdict. Meanwhile, Bangladesh's interim government has urged India to immediately extradite the deposed Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and her former Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal. The Ministry of External Affairs in India has reacted to this and said it has taken note of the verdict concerning Sheikh Hasina and will engage constructively with all stakeholders to serve the best interests of the people of Bangladesh. Joining us to discuss this further is Ambassador Anil Trigunya, former diplomat. We also have Major General Sudhakarji, geopolitical expert, joining us live. Ashwini Dubey, AOR Supreme Court of India, is joining us live. Professor Madhav Nalapat, editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, is with us on the broadcast as well. Professor Nalapat, what do you make of this verdict that Bangladesh has announced for Sheikh Hasina, and does it surprise you?
Well, quite frankly, Vineet, the fact of the situation is there are literally hundreds of incidents around the world where mobs turn violent and the police resort to deadly force, leading sometimes to death of one or two people, if not more. I mean, even in the United States, we have seen examples of that. And quite frankly, what other way is there to deal with a violent mob except to use force if possible? As far as Sheikh Hasina is concerned, she was at risk of her life and she escaped at the last minute, even before submitting a resignation to India for safety in an army helicopter. Otherwise, she would have been lynched. The fact of the matter is that if Sheikh Hasina returned to Bangladesh, she'll be lynched. It won't be a question of justice being done. It will be a lynch mob given their victim. So, very frankly, Vineet, first of all, with all due respect to the International Criminal Tribunal, I would like to ask its members if any of them are in charge of a country and in that country you see violent mobs using force and basically trying to even take the lives of security personnel, then what would their reaction be? Would it be to stand aside and do nothing? I mean, that seems to be the view expressed by the ICT in its verdict. So, quite frankly, I don't see this verdict as understandable. And judging by what happened in Bangladesh, the reality is extreme violence has been used, yes, indeed, by the security forces and also by the mobs, by some elements in the mobs that were congregating, and frankly, which led to Sheikh Hasina fleeing for her life from her own country. So I'm surprised the ICT did not consider all these aspects, and therefore, Vineet, in my personal view, if Sheikh Hasina is sent back to Bangladesh, or frankly, I think she would face a lynch mob, and I don't believe that any individual needs to be facing a lynch mob. So, very frankly, Vineet, in my view, this judgment is inexplicable in the context of the need to ensure that violent crowds do not basically take control of the situation in a way, frankly, where they did in Bangladesh. Violent mobs took control of the situation.
Right. Okay. Let me get in Ambassador Anil Trigunya then at this point as well. Ambassador Trigunya, what do you make of this, this verdict that has come in? How do you interpret it? What the court has observed against Sheikh Hasina and her defense, her video message that she sent out just before this was announced?
Well, thank you, Vineet. I fully agree with Professor Nalpat. The fact remains is that there is a contest between illegitimacy and accusation or conviction. So while Sheikh Hasina and her supporters continue to say that Yunus government is illegitimate as per the constitutional provisions as well, and therefore they have no right to continue to do what they have been doing. Similarly, we know that what kind of judicial freedom is available under today in Bangladesh, and therefore only the judges that were inimical to Sheikh Hasina were there. So therefore, it could not be seen by object, objective persons as something which is a legitimate judgment. So I think that the worst part is, of course, Sheikh Hasina's party and she herself has given a very long, winding narrative about why it is not correct, and that it was all perpetrated by interested parties and it was a biased judgment and politically motivated. Everybody knows that it happens in such circumstances. And Mr. Yunus himself has been dilly-dallying. He's not been in control of the whole thing all along. We have seen the last 1 year what happened. So obviously these provide certain kind of distractions. But at the same time, it is also an internal matter of Bangladesh judiciary to decide. And therefore, the Indian government has very clearly just taken the note of the verdict. Now, does it impact us? Of course, we have seen in the past 1 year, courtesy the kind of attitude and the approaches that Yunus government has taken has totally been anti-India. And in every which way they could, they have tried to hurt our interests. And therefore, we have to be more cautious today and going forward because Bangladesh is in for more trouble. It has been polarized. It will be more politically polarized going forward. So you'll see more violence, and there is going to be more problem and trouble in the region, especially with Bangladesh being hobnobbing with Pakistan and ISI and several other similar organizations and countries that do not want well for India. So for us also, we need to be very careful. Of course, as has been said, India always wants well for Bangladeshi people, and we hope that there will be smooth elections and there will be a transition of power. Now, if that happens, then obviously the country continues to deal with their own interests. Even if, let us say, BNP comes to power or some other parties come to power, and if there is an election indeed is held in February, we might not have the kind of verdict that we are looking at today, and we might be having still ongoing troubles because there are so many actors in this whole thing. It is not only one actor. Sheikh Hasina in her NDTV interview clearly said that she is not very sure that there were foreign parties involved or foreign powers involved. But most of us who observe it, we have seen how things have played out there, why it happened, how it happened. One is all fully aware about it, those who are watching it. Of course, there are not many options also available to Sheikh Hasina. Legal recourse in the country, the kind of judiciary at the moment is there, or going to international court or anywhere else, because all those things. I mean, we have Mr. Dubey as the legal luminary here. He'll tell us better, but none of these judgments can be enforced by a country when you have both China and the United States on your side.
Okay, let me take that to you, Major General Sudhakarji, on what ramifications this verdict really has for Bangladesh as a whole. How you interpret this verdict? Did it shock you, or was the writing on the wall? And what do you make of how Sheikh Hasina has reacted to it as well?
Uday, good evening. Thank you for getting me for your show. Compliments to very distinguished and esteemed co-panelists. You have raised a couple of subheadings or sub-points in the question that you made. I was not alarmed. Writing was on the wall, and so as Sheikh Hasina, and so as all the distinguished co-panelists, I am sure, the whole world would have been expecting. But please allow me to dilate a couple of my viewpoints, just giving a perspective without meaning to contradict anybody. We need to look at things happening in Bangladesh from the perspective that it is our backyard. We have got the longest border with this country. Once upon a time, it also used to be part of India, undivided British India Empire or East Pakistan. The people, they enjoy the cultural linkages, the language, and also the way of life. And the border, which has been artificially being developed, not fully completed, is actually a barrier for the people who enjoy common parameters. To my understanding, and my assessment. Now, having given this background, please allow me 2-3 minutes. Let me give out the points. It is not what is happening in Bangladesh. It is so important from security paradigm that it's about time India has to take a call. It is not calling out is not enough. When are you going to wake up? You are waiting for Bihar to become like the Bangladesh or West Bengal to go through the journey of serial blasting taking place. It's a very serious thing taking place. India, I think, has to identify suitable red lines and prepare its course of action in tangible form. Did anybody ask Russia? I am not drawing parallels or trying to hint at what Russia did to Crimea or Georgia or what is happening in Ukraine. But Bangladesh is too serious, too close. Siliguri corridor, all of us, we know how sensitive it is. So unless we shape the environment of our immediate neighborhood is going to shape the environment in our hinterland. You will have another Bangladesh inside the country. So therefore, it's about time that we have to be very decisive in our thought process. Call it diplomacy or military might or capability. We need to be clear-headed. What exactly do you expect? Do you want to dilly-dally like this and let go with the Yunus, the way the deep state is driving him to carry out the activities and persecute the minorities there, whether it is Hindus or Christians or any other religion other than the Muslim? I don't think so. The time has come. We need to call it out. Enough is enough. Delhi blast has given us enough of linkages and the ecosystems are throwing up into the light. Whether it is the Nogam blast which is taking place, there is no clarity. Although the DG police of Jammu and Kashmir has been saying it is an accident. I, having handled explosions in the army, I have my doubts. I have been trying to reach out as a retired man. Could be that so-and-so thing is being ignored or not been factored in. So such are the issues. There is a threat of bio-attack, the bio-warfare. There is a threat of blast likely to take place. There has been a spoofing incident which has taken place near Delhi airport a couple of days back. There are 32 cars which were selected and bought for serial blast before 6th of December. Only 3 have been identified. There are 15 tons of explosives. Ammonium nitrate. We have recovered only close to 3,000 or 3 tons. What about the balance 12 tons? Where have they disappeared? There are only 3 doctors. I'm given to understand there are many more. The ecosystem has got something close to 30 or 40 doctors. Good number of engineers. So whatever is happening in Bangladesh today, it may be, pointedly your question is related to Sheikh Hasina, but Sheikh Hasina is the leader or democratic leader elected by the people of Bangladesh, ruled the country for 15 years, and she gave stability to her eastern flank. That eastern flank is becoming unstable, is on a plateau, which Pakistan is trying to capitalize and exploit and make it as a playfield, launch pad to launch kinetic attacks into India, into the hinterland. Is that acceptable to India? Certainly not. So what can India do? I think India needs to actually calibrate its multiple options available. One is keep quiet till the end. The other is preempt, prevent. Prevention is better than cure. There is an old saying, prepare and prevent, repair and repent.
Yes.
Are we going to allow them to carry out a second Pahalgam anywhere in our country in the hinterland or second Delhi blast? Certainly not.
Yes.
So there is a group of people who have penetrated and infiltrated across the fencing from Bangladesh, who have got explosive experts with them. They have been tasked to carry out serial blast in West Bengal before 26th of January in 2 phases. Also carry out bio attacks.
Yes.
Also target
Absolutely.
places like
Absolutely. I'll come back to you. Ashwini Dubey also with us now live. Ashwini Dubey, the Bangladesh court, of course, pronouncing this death sentence for Sheikh Hasina. How common are death sentence pronouncements in Bangladesh, Ashwini Dubey? And what is made in the observations that you have read as well, led the court there to categorize this in the rarest of rare. Sheikh Hasina has called this a kangaroo court, a sham trial, a fixed match.
Oh, considering the Indian criminal jurisprudence, if we say the Sheikh Hasina is very much right in making a statement that yes, it's a kangaroo court which has given a judgment without appreciating the evidences without giving an opportunity of fair trial, and that too the verdict in exile, that is, verdict in absentia. See, the crime which has been allegedly found to be proved is orchestrating mass killing of protesters, ordering or authorizing lethal force from the air and ground, murdering specific individuals, incinerating and disposing of bodies to hide evidence, coordinating the killings and persecution of demonstrators in specific areas. That too, it is the only one-sided story without any contest, without any trial. And see, the system is that the same International Crimes Tribunal, that is the Special International Crimes Tribunal, Dhaka, was found, the set up by the Sheikh Hasina herself in 2010 to investigate crimes against humanity committed during the 1971 war that resulted in Bangladesh independence from Pakistan. Uday, let us talk that she may return to she may appeal to the Bangladesh Appellate Forum, but she has to return back to Bangladesh. While being in exile, if she challenges the verdict, the law does not permit, a Bangladeshi law does not permit her to challenge that verdict. So, and if she returns to Bangladesh or is apprehended within 30 days, because what has to be done in these cases, she has to surrender first, and then she can appeal. And if in that eventuality she goes there, obviously there are chances for lynching. Third, she may remain in India. So extradition, there is a extradition treaty between India and Bangladesh. So India may consider or may not consider the extradition request of Bangladesh, and unless the government of India under the diplomatic process considers the extradition, the request, she may be here in India, because that cannot be, the Bangladesh cannot compel any other country including India to return her back. And she may also negotiate a political settlement. A possible path could involve negotiating with the interim government to create condition for her safe return. India on her behalf may talk that if she may be given fair trial, and that is unlikely, as rightly said by the other co-panelists, that there are chances of the mob lynching. Now, the one thing which we understand, that the law and order situation in our neighboring country, that is Bangladesh, has completely collapsed. There is no constitution. There is no democratically set up judicial system functioning. And also, I would say the trial in absentia, without giving an opportunity the other person to contest what was the situation behind ordering of those, the police firing and all, which quite happen we see in India also, as rightly said by our Major General, that India is, the situation inside India is also very grave, and Indian government must immediately look into it as far as the situation is concerned, the internal disturbances are concerned. So we may not say, but yes, we live in a country, the India is a country which is great because every person is given right to fair trial, right to appeal. We have seen this Kasab's case. We have seen many other, the now a ecosystem which talks about the terrorist freedom. The ecosystem which talks about, immediately when we see the ecosystem immediately starts writing these stories. But in Bangladesh, and of course, there is no democratically set up working. There is no judicial system working. Only kangaroo courts are working. Within 1 year or 1.5 years, immediately the announcing the death sentence. Of course, it is nothing but a mockery of the system. Let's see what happens. But there are various options available to Sheikh Hasina also. But that would be only available as per the Bangladesh government if she returns back there. And if India is able to negotiate in that eventuality that she would be given fair trial or fair right to appeal, then the situation may turn. Over to you.
Professor Nalapat, what do you make of the Ministry of External Affairs statement from India today on this verdict, and what do you believe is likely to be the India stand on this verdict and its aftermath?
Are you asking me?
Professor Nalapat?
Look, I'd like to say very clearly that our panelists are absolutely right. It is basically a dictatorship, and there is no election on the horizon, and certainly not a free and fair election. That is why, again, there's street violence in Bangladesh. There's street violence because the systematic effort is on to prevent any ex-member or member of the now banned Awami League party from ever getting political office by getting elected, like Imran Khan's people got elected in Pakistan despite the opposition of the military. And then guess where Mr. Khan landed up? In jail, and he's still in jail because he's resisting the military. So I'd like to say very clearly the question of sending Sheikh Hasina back to Bangladesh, in my view, is an academic one for simple reason that she will not have a fair trial. Anything near a fair trial, it will be a lynch mob, as has been correctly said by a legal luminary, a kangaroo court. And from that point of view, I'd like to say, Vineet, very, very clearly, I think Sheikh Hasina should basically remain in India till such time as she opts voluntarily to leave India, for a simple reason that she is, first of all, because of the situation, she, as correctly said by one of the panelists, both China and the US are in the same boat where supporting the present Bangladesh government is concerned. They're not in opposing boats, they're in the same boat. So, in that point of view, I'd like to say, Vineet, it would be
Right.
to expect fair justice
Okay.
from Bangladesh.
Okay. I'll leave the last word quickly to Ambassador Trigunat. I'm running out of time.
Yeah. No, I think that we are under no compulsion to send her. If there is a sorry. Yeah. That'll be, there is an extradition treaty, and if they approach us with the extradition treaty, there are provisions and the procedure for that could be followed, but it is entirely India's decision whether to send her back or not. And of course, the situation currently does not warrant, and everybody knows that the kangaroo courts are there, which are going by retribution rather than justice, and therefore I see it very unlikely in near future that India will be able to send her back.
All right. 30 seconds, Major General Sudhakarji. Major General Sudhakarji, 30 seconds.
Well, all I would say is that Sheikh Hasina has to be retained in India, not to be sent to Bangladesh. If you wish to send her, then it is going to be on a platter of peril, number one. Number two, we need to navigate and also make sure that Yunus' existence on the soil of Bangladesh comes to an end as soon as possible. Number three, our military might has to be shown so that there is some semblance of orderliness in the adjoining states which are being threatened to become a greater Bangladesh. And last,
Yes.
number 4 point is that Bangladesh is in the backyard. It used to be part of India. Let's not lose sight of the fact that the West Bengal is going for elections by March or April this year itself, next year. And before the elections, Putin is visiting India on 5th of December. These are all very landmark milestones which have to be kept in mind.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it is
Okay. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us. We've run totally out of time. More